Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Arsenal Away podcast with me, Samrid and Himashwin. We're a brand new Arsenal channel, two fans from India who've been Arsenal supporters for way too long, some would say. But we've just come out with our new channel. We'd love for you to support us. We're on pretty much all social channels. We're on Twitter at the Arsenal Away. We're on YouTube at the Arsenal Away. So please subscribe, click the bell icon to get notified whenever we come out with new videos. And of course, we have a Facebook page where you can come and interact with us and talk to us about what you'd like to hear or what your thoughts are on all things Arsenal. Ashwin, no football for the foreseeable future. Um, it's. I remember I woke up to that day when it was announced that Arteta has been diagnosed with the coronavirus. I woke up to that news, which was sort of the beginning of the end of the Premier League season, at least in the interim. But that feeling that we used to have every summer of no football for a good 2.5 months, but you'd still be okay because you're counting down to the days. I don't know if football is going to be back, at least not over the next few months. They're saying June is when they want to start. They want to have games done by. But not something that anyone expected ever. I mean, we've been having a shit season anyway, so maybe calling off the season completely may just work well for us. But as we know, that's not practically possible. Um, your thoughts on how you found out, how you're feeling currently with no football, um, with the random rumors that are being talked about of calling the season off or playing it in June, and with the Euros being called off and all of that, and everything else with player contracts, with new players coming in, players being sold, all of that. Your thoughts on how the last 2 weeks have been?
I mean, it's a safety first for everybody. Obviously, this pandemic has gone across the globe, and it's not something to be taken lightly. But I still remember it was a Thursday when the Premier League came out with a statement saying that all matches are still going to go and take place the way it's supposed to, which was supposed to be 2 days later. And then in I think it was half an hour, an hour, Arsenal broke news saying that Mikel Arteta has got the coronavirus, and it literally had to take a Premier League manager to get the virus, where they'd have to then think about the situation and for them to make a call. Like, it was ridiculous for them to say like an hour before that all matches are going to be played, where you're gathering about 30 to 40,000 people together, and you don't know anybody can have the virus and can spread it around. So it was crazy. But on the other hand, there were rumors. I mean, not rumors. The FA confirmed that the games were going to be pushed till the 3rd of April. But I think 2 days ago they've come out and now they've said that nothing's going to happen till the 30th of April. So all football is stopped till there. That leaves us with about, for us, 11 games to go, and for everybody else 10 games to go. With the Champions League, with the FA Cup, even if you squeeze in 2 games a week every week, and if we start the season on May 1st, I don't see it ending anywhere till the 1st of August. So if that has to happen, I don't know if um, we can start the next season immediately, or do we give the players a break? Because as you mentioned, the Euros have been cancelled and pushed back to next season. I don't know. I don't know if we should just hand Liverpool the title. Technically, they're 25 points clear, and they deserve it more than anybody else. Like, I could have still understood if they were like 5 points or 10 points clear with some 10 games to go. But with 25 points, 25 points ahead of Man City, they just need the 2 games to get the victory and get their first championship in 30 years. But I don't know, handing it to them wouldn't feel fair, even though it's not mathematically done. I mean, Liverpool are going through a very poor patch, but that doesn't mean that they're going to go and lose all 10 games. I can't see City winning all the 11 games as well. So, I mean, in all honesty, I'd give Liverpool the title. But what about all the teams battling for relegation? What about the teams in the Championship who are trying to get promoted to the Premier League? So, I mean, whatever the FA do now, somebody's going to be upset. Whether it's Liverpool, whether it's the Championship. I mean, I was watching something where people were suggesting that scrap the season right now, and start next season with last season's top four. Now, last season's top four was Man City, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Chelsea. And if Chelsea, I mean, if United, I mean, if City have their ban, the fifth place team gets Champions League, and we were the fifth place team. So a lot of rumors. I don't know what's going to happen, but at the moment, it's just sad that there's no sport, there's no football, and it's for the betterment, of course, but it's just sad that we don't have this right now.
So I have slightly different opinions. I don't think Liverpool should be given the title. Um, not to say that they won't win it. Until it's mathematically impossible for the second place team to overtake them, I don't think any team, even if you're 25 points ahead, should be just given the title just because they've been better and they have a 25-point lead or whatever ridiculous point lead that they have. Um, the point then becomes, I do they I understand your point on the league going on till August and maybe the next season starting later, whatever that case may be. Um, I don't think the season should be scrapped either, because that would just be unfair on sides that have worked hard for a promotion. Like for example, the likes of a Leeds who've almost made it last season, and are pretty much get be guaranteed automatic promotion. That's unfair on them as well. I've seen suggestions of allowing a five allowing the top two teams from the championship to come on to be promoted, and then having a five-team relegation next season so that it balances out the season after. Um, I wouldn't say, like, I mean, you said that football is funny and how Liverpool's been on a slump of late. For all you know, they could lose the next 10 games, and City just might win the next 11 games. Again, so instead of talking about, which is what is annoying me for a lot of these so-called presenters and sports reporters are just calling off the season. You can't call off a season, and they're not going to leave the season hanging midway. Um, and just because you think that they're 25 points ahead and they've been the best team, that doesn't matter. We've been the best team this 2020 since 2020 started. Does that mean that we should be automatically given a title? No, it's not how it works. I think until mathematically whoever side doesn't cement, or Liverpool in this instance does not cement it, I don't think they should be given it. I think another thing that I've personally been thinking of is just splitting points, sharing points between all the teams. Just give everyone a point each, and then just that's where the season ends, and that would in any ways allow Liverpool to win the title, and then take care of every other detail as well. Um, I think splitting points would be the fairest way of maybe in a way, I guess,
So
figuring
where
out.
would that leave Arsenal? We'd end up ninth. I don't think we go anywhere.
So it's not really going to make much of a difference. So, which is fine, I guess, because it's also a reflection of how we've performed this entire season. If you've been poor, then your current standing is a reflection of how you've played this entire season. We don't deserve to be anywhere near the top five, and us, even if we get whatever 11 points, 10 points, it's fine, because at the end of the day, you're sharing points. You're not really. I mean, fine. You could then argue, the argument to that is that, of course, there are some games that you knew you would win, but with just how unpredictable things are, you wouldn't really know if a team would beat a lower place team would beat a higher place team. Watford being the example for Liverpool here. I would not want to award teams just because they've been better. I would want it to be a black and white solution as opposed to being grey. I think they will come up with some sort of answer for this sometime soon. When that happens, I think it's on the league. I think they want to finish the. I would like to see them finish the season. I think they will finish the season. Depends on when they can start. I don't think it's going to start May 1st. I think it'll be much later. Um, the consequences of that might be maybe a curtailed season next year, um, or maybe a lengthened season. Maybe scrapping the likes of your Capital One Cup or the Carabao Cup or whatever the hell you want to call it. Maybe not having an FA Cup for one season, because then the focus is just on the Premier tournaments. moving on. I don't know. It's not an easy call because I think this is the first time in ever that something like this has happened, and I think gonna have to come up with a solution. Look, people are not going to be happy whatever comes up, so I guess we just wait and watch and see what these guys need to do.
So you're of the mind that if given the option, if we can scrap the Premier League today, do we do that now, or do we actually wait till whenever we can and finish the season?
I think I don't think they should scrap the season. I think there needs to be, because at the end of the day, you have to. I mean, if it wasn't for money, look, money is going to be the overriding factor for whatever decision that they make. The Premier League, just because of how big that brand is, would be seen as maybe losing face if they scrap the season. Because this is, at the end of the day, this Liverpool team, what they've done is pretty much once in a lifetime, having gone so many games unbeaten and then having lost a game finally. But for something like this to happen, it's I wouldn't be in favor of scrapping the season. I think they should wait it out as long as possible without it affecting their future plans. Because I think that they might, for all you know, I think the next season might start late. Maybe they'll, like I said, scrap a couple of the of maybe the knockout competitions like an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup, and maybe start next season late. I think they'll give it as long as possible to know that they can finish the season, give players a break, and then come back next season.
Uh, that begs another question. With people who are on loan, whose contracts end on the 30th of June, what do you do for those guys? Like for us, what's really vital is that we probably know that Aubameyang's not going to sign on a new contract for us. Do we risk him keeping him here till August, where suppose the new season's going to start and he's already started his contract, and suppose we don't get a window and we start the new season? What do we do? What do we do with players like that? Like I'm like United, like we've signed on players on loan. If by 30th of June, someone like Ceballos has to go back, or someone like Pablo Murray that we signed on has to go back, what do we do? Do we extend? Like we're obviously paying their wages right now, but do we extend their contracts? Do we keep them here? I'm also of the mind that if today they had to say that, you know what, this pandemic is so severe that we have to scrap the season, and by doing that, if they're going to end it today, I'm actually okay with that. If they give Liverpool the title, and what they do is they don't basically relegate anybody from any league, but they have the teams who are in the automatic top two positions, just being promoted from everywhere. And then next year you can basically see, like what you said, basically instead of three teams going down, you have about five teams going down and balancing everything out. It's either that or the FA is going to have to completely scrap the whole thing and restart the season, and completely scrap the 2019-2020 season and call it a void, and say that this never happened, and restart again from last season's standings. And if that happens, we make the Champions League, because Man City is not going to be the Champions League, and we can finally say Unai Emery got a stop for.
Um, I think the cascading effect that scrapping a season will have is I think is going to be very unpleasant.
Just imagine for Liverpool, the
Yeah, I
only
mean,
thing that could have stopped it.
it's sort of funny that Liverpool are they almost it's within touching distance and they can almost taste it, but it's still not there as yet. I just think scrapping a season will be very unpopular with clubs that are fighting for promotion or fighting to stay up. And I think that'll just get really ugly in terms of maybe going to the court for sports arbitration and all of that, in terms of monies that are due, in terms of revenues lost. And look, at the end of the day, as much as we might want to talk about how it's for the fans and it's football and it's passion and it's fan driven, it's not. It's a business at the end of the day, and they will make a decision that is good for the business and not good for the club, the supporters, or the club, or whatever club has to represent. It'll be driven by that more than anything else. What in what way can they mitigate their losses at at the very least, to keep those losses down to minimum and make sure everyone is happy. How they go about doing that is not something that ever fair. I don't think there was ever a contingency plan for something like this ever. And never has. I don't think there's been an instance in the past as well where they've had to maybe um, look at something drawn a reference from the past. I think the last time that happened was during the World Wars, and that was a 10, I think 10 team season, 10 team league. Now you have a 20 team league. It's almost, I don't know, £1 billion richer, multi billions of pounds richer, and just the vested interest that people have in clubs is what is going to drive all of this more than anything else.
And your views on the loans that we spoke about? What
Look,
happens
it's
there?
unfortunate. It's unfortunate that the likes of Cedric Soares is not ever going to play for Arsenal again. Pablo Mari still played 2 games. Ceballos has been touch and go. I'd really be really that big of a miss? Not really. The Aubameyang situation is of course is an undercurrent during all of this. Transfers for Arteta, who we were hoping will have a summer for buying and selling his own players, is going to be difficult as well, because let's assume everything goes right and we start the season in September, let's say a month later. I would like to think that he would like to start play with the season with no distractions around contracts or players that he would have wanted there. Um, I mean, I couldn't give a shit about the other clubs, but for us, I think it's important where we are, and the progress that Arteta has shown over the last few months doesn't stagnate, because these players are not. I don't think the squad is capable to go another season playing like this.
A lot of rumors doing the rounds that both Barca and United are in for Aubameyang, putting up about 50 million for him.
Yeah, Paul Merson also said that United are missing likes of Aubameyang, and I don't get that. They keep doing it. These are former Arsenal players who keep saying this shit. Tony Adams has said this in the past, said similar shit. Paul Merson has said it. It's unfortunate, but look, we sold Van Persie to them. I don't think that mistake will ever be repeated.
No, so I have 2 questions for you. If we had to sell Aubameyang this year, what would be the fee that you would take for him? And suppose if United were in for him, would you sell him to United?
I think if it's anybody other than United, if it's United, I would. If you want him, then you pay. Then you literally, squeeze them for their last cent on Aubameyang. If it's not United, then I guess if we can just recoup the money that we've paid for him, or maybe get a little bit more than what we bought him for. But if it's anybody in the league, I would just squeeze them for every drop where possible. Because look, at the end of the day, we have to look out for our interests, and if it means selling to a rival, then we would just we shouldn't do it. If we do it, then I would just say upwards of 100, not lesser than that, because that's the only way that you can then at least use that money for at least becoming a better squad than relying on a couple of players.
I highly doubt we're going to get 100 million for him, because with the way the market is right now. I know he's one of the best strikers in the world and he's lethal in front of goal, but 100 million 1 year to go, unless United come in with freakish money, that's the only way I see it happening. Or if there's a tug of war between Chelsea, City,
yeah,
or
I mean, so if United really want him, they will need to pay that money. With Van Persie, the situation was that he wanted to leave.
Mm.
As long as Aubameyang doesn't say anything of that sort, I think we should be able to command a sizable fee for him, because he's, at the end of the day, he's been in the top 2, top 3 goal scorers of the last 2 seasons as well. I think he's tied for second now. He finished top last season, I think, as well. So I think there is definitely scope there to negotiate hard if possible. Otherwise, look, he has no reason to stay. We have not really pulled up any trees since he's been here over the last 2 years or so. So as if we can just get as much as we can for him, I don't think he's going to stick around, if I'm being quite honest.
And finally, I think the 24th is when 2 weeks for Mikel Arteta should be over, and we should be able to hear some positive news about him. Hopefully, then, even though they've still shut down and everybody to stay and work from home, I still don't think that the squad will be able to come back and start training together. I think that starts to happen, I think, a little closer to the mid of April or towards the end of April, right? It's getting bad in India as well. There are cases going up every day. We've all been asked to work from home as well. We've all just been quarantined. And UK is in a place which is it's pretty bad right now. UK, I mean, your Italy, Spain, they're pretty bad right now. So I can't see only the Premier League. There's another question again, is that if even if things are contained in the UK and things go start to play and they start playing behind closed doors and televise these games, what happens if the Italian league never starts because it's so bad there? What happens if the German league never starts? What happens if the Spanish league never starts? So how are you going to complete the Champions League? That's a call the FA needs to take again and say that, okay, if these guys are not going to play, how are we going to complete the competition? Or is it just about finishing the FA? Is it just about finishing the Premier League and giving it to Liverpool? There's just so many questions to answer, and it's just like I would hate to be one of those guys making the decisions right now, because whatever decision you make, there is going to be some group that is going to be unhappy.
I mean, you're right. I think even if we were to take the example that you're talking about, this maybe have calling the season null and void and just going back to last season's standings. Maybe if they adopt that, they maybe financially compensate clubs that are not going to be promoted by giving them the amount of money that they would have gotten if they were promoted to the top tier of football, be it in England or wherever else. But that doesn't solve their problem of playing against the so-called elite clubs. It'll still remain. I'm with you when you say that you wouldn't want to be in this position of the guy who's making this. I don't think it's going to be one particular person. I think it will be a collective call taken by respective countries' footballing associations. I guess at this point we can only hope and pray that the likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi, the likes of Mikel Arteta, and every other player who's either come in contact with the coronavirus or has been suspected is just comes out safe and no issues health wise. um I mean, it's sport. I don't think at the end of the day it's all that it's being made out to be. If as I mean, it's fine if players are hale and hearty, if we don't have football for a year, um as long as players are fit and we are out of this unscathed, I think is what is more important. But as long as they come to a decision that is fair, as far as fair can be, I think that is what they'll probably do.
I would hate being a Liverpool fan, man, right now. Anyway, Samrit, thanks for the show. Guys, we're going to try keeping it interesting. We're going to come up with a video every week now, and we're going to talk about something different. Maybe it's going to be our best moments, our best goals, our worst matches that we've seen, something from the past, so that we keep it live, we keep it fresh, and we're active on the channel as well. Thanks, guys. Like Samir mentioned at the start of the show, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's a small bell icon at the bottom. Please click it so you get notified every time we come out with a video. Our socials at the Arsenal Away on Twitter and Facebook. Please like, subscribe, share. And thank you. Please keep safe and be isolated, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, guys, stay safe, and we'll be back soon with a new one. Thank you, Ashwin. Stay safe, and all the best, guys. See you guys.